Good morning, everyone. It's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. So today we are going to do some masking and ink blending, and we are going to be using a online exclusive bundle called Thankful Garden. And so this is what the bundle looks like. And I've shared a couple different card ideas with you featuring this bundle, actually featuring the entire product suite. So the bundle is just one of many different things in this particular suite. There's also some pattern paper and other things, but we're going to focus on the bundle. So this is the stamps that we'll use, and there is a coordinating die set that comes with this bundle, but there are also 5 different masks. So we are going to be using these masks today to create the projects that I have for you. So these masks, they actually fit really nice in the case. So I don't know if you saw that. So that's a plus because then I can just store everything together, the stamps, the dies, and the masks. So we're going to use these. There's 5 different masks, and we're going to use them a little bit differently than maybe you have seen, just to create kind of some highlights on the flowers. So if you don't like coloring, this is actually a really nice way to add color to your flowers without a lot of effort. So we're going to focus on that today. So good morning, everyone. So let me make this a little bit bigger here. So these are just some of the cards that I created with this particular bundle, and just doing some of the masking and the ink blending. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of these just to kind of give you an idea of how to do the ink blending. And then I'll show you the other cards that I created. So let's move these out of the way. And I did link to some of the other cards because, like I said, I've shared a lot with you guys with this particular bundle. So you can find all those links in the description below this video. So what we're going to do, let me grab some paper here. We're going to start with this card. I've actually incorporated another online exclusive. So besides the Thankful Garden, I'm also going to be using the elements of text. So I like these little different elements here. Just adds a little bit more to the card. So that's where I got the splatter and some of these other images. So this is the card we're going to create first, but I'm going to move it out of the way. So we're going to grab some scrap paper, and I have a piece of white cardstock here that is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And the first thing I'm going to do is just stamp the image. So this is the image we're going to use. I like to use early espresso, but you can certainly use black ink as well. But I just find that the early espresso stamps so much nicer. I don't know. I don't know what it is. So we're going to stamp this kind of off to the side using the early espresso. And then we're going to start adding our color. So for this particular flower, I'm just using one color. I'm going to use the crushed curry, and we're going to add 2 different shades with this particular color. So these masks, I'm going to show you real quick what they are. So there's 3 different masks that you can use to color the flowers. So there's this first mask. The masks are all labeled. They have a number. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little number in the corner by this notch. So you can add the mask, and you can add your first layer of color. And then you take the second mask, and you can add another layer of color. And then you take the third one and add another one. So you kind of go from, I like to say, from light to dark. So you start with the lighter colors, and then you go darker. But we're actually not going to use this full mask where we add, color to the entire flower, because I want a white background on my flower. So that's what we're going to do first. And actually, I'm going to move this paper for right now because I need my table to tape this on. So we're going to line up this mask on the flower, and I'm going to grab a little bit of washi tape here, You can use washi tape or Post-it notes, whatever you want to just kind of hold the mask down in place. Then let's line this up here. So we'll add that. I think I moved it. I did. And then we're going to add this down here. And so basically we're going to take a little blending brush and we are going to just lightly go over this image. So we're going to use this mask and it's only going to color, the space that's showing through the mask. And so you just want to use a really light touch to add this first layer of color. I'm going to add just a little bit more, I think, over here. So the lighter the touch, the better, because then when we go to add the next layer, we're going to go a little bit more heavy-handed. So, all right, so let's peel this off. And that's what our first layer is going to look like. So let's set this to the side. We'll grab our second one. So this second mask here, we're just going to lay this on. And we'll add a little bit more washi tape. And then we'll add our second layer. So I'm still using the same color, but this time we're going to go a little bit heavier. We're going to add this color in using a little heavier hand. And I think that looks pretty good. We'll see. And then we'll pick this up. And so you see you get two different colors. Even though we're using the exact same color, you have a lighter shade of this crushed curry, and then you have a darker color in the middle. So it looks pretty cool. I like the white behind it. It matches the pattern paper. I'm going to just show you that real quick. So on this pattern paper, you can see it has a white flower, and then it just has a little bit of lighter yellow and then some darker yellow. And so that's kind of the look I was going for with this particular flower. So that's why I only used two of the three masks instead of all three. All right. And then there's two other masks here for the leaves. So there's one to fully color in the leaves, and then there's one that just adds like the detail. So we're just going to use the detailed one, and we will add some color to the leaves. So let's add this. And the nice thing about these masks is you can just continue to use them. You don't have to rinse them off every single time. So if you want to make a lot of cards, with this particular design, you don't have to keep rinsing the mask off. You can just keep using it. So this time I'm going to use some garden green, and we're going to add some color to the leaves. And again, you can go very light or you can go dark, however you want to do it. I think we might go a little bit darker. But the masks are really nice. If you've ever used stencils or masks before, sometimes the masks are kind of flimsy and they're hard to use because when you start to go in this circular motion, the mask buckles up. But that doesn't happen with these masks. These are much thicker, and it makes it just a lot easier to add the color. So we'll add, I think that looks pretty good. So let's close this up here. And then we'll peel this off. And that's what our flower looks like. Now you can cut the flower out. There's a die that you can use to cut the flower out, but we're just going to use it as is to create our card. So I'm going to add just a couple of little elements of text. So I'm going to use some crumb cake ink, and we're going to add a little bit of splatter up towards the top here. So we'll just add that. And then we are going to tear this. So I'm actually going to tear just kind of down the side a little bit to create that worn edge. So the slower you tear, the larger the edge will be. We have that. And then I'm going to use this other element of text. And we're going to use the stamp off technique. So we'll ink it up, stamp it off, and then we'll stamp it on here. And then you can add anything else that you want, but I'm just going to stick with this right now. And let's put our card together. So I have a piece of white cardstock for the base of the card. And then I have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of garden green. And then of course this piece was originally 3 3/4 by 5, but I tore off that edge. And so I'm going to add some pattern paper on the left side. So this is just some of the pattern paper from the Lovely Garden Designer Series paper. Yeah, these masks make it really easy to color. All right, so we're just going to add this on the side here. So this is just 1 1/2 by 3 3/4. And then we'll add this. And that torn edge will overlap onto the paper, the pattern paper. So that'll just give you a really nice look. And then we'll just add this to the card front. So this is just a simple way to use the masks where you don't have to cut out, the flowers. You can just mask them right onto a piece of white cardstock. All right, I think I'm sticky under here. There we go. All right, and then I forgot what size this is, so let me look here. This is 1 1/4 by 2, so this is just a piece of actually Daffodil Delight cardstock. And then I just stamped a greeting on a scrap piece of white cardstock, just using the early espresso ink. And I cut this out with the Stylish Shapes dies, and then I just trimmed down the side so that I could match it up on the side of the card. So we are going to add this to our yellow. So I just wanted to draw out a little bit more yellow. And then we'll pop that up. All right, so then we'll just pop this up right over here. And then you can add any embellishments that you want. So these tend to be my go-to embellishments. These are the, what are they called? The iridescent foil gems. So let's add some up here. And it fell off. And then we'll add a couple down here. And that's it. So you just have a very simple but very pretty card. All right, so that is the first one that I wanted to share with you. And now I'm going to show you just a different color and a different flower. So the concept for doing this one is pretty much the same. So this is the one we'll make now. And for this one, I actually started with a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock. And this time we are going to stamp the hydrangea. So let me grab that. And I'm going to use early espresso ink again. I should probably grab my scrap piece of paper. Let's put that under there. And we'll just stamp this off on the other side. So let's go to the left. There we go. And this time we're going to use a little darker blue. So we're going to use this blueberry bushel actually to create this card. And so I'm going to use the same mask. So let me grab that. So we already used the one in the yellow. So now take my washi tape off here. So now we are going to line this up and we are going to use the other side here with the blue. So let's add that. We'll just tape this on. There we go. I think I just moved it again. Let's try that again. There we go. And then we'll add this one down here. All right, so we're going to use the blue. And we're going to go very light-handed again. So let me move some of this stuff out of the way here. And we'll just start, oh, I think I got this a little bit crooked here. There we go. And we'll just start at the bottom and just go very lightly over the flowers. So when you go lightly, you can see that you get a really light shade of blue because this is a darker blue. So just use a very light touch and add color all over the flowers. And I think that looks pretty good. All right, let's peel this off. And so that's what our blue looks like. And then we're going to grab this one. So this is the third mask. So I used mask number 2 to add this color. And now this is mask number 3. And so we'll just line this one up. And I just had it. There we go. And then we're going to use a little heavier hand, a little more ink this time. And we will add that. I'm going to add a little bit more, I think, in the middle here. All right, so I think that'll do it. And then we'll peel this off. And that's what our flower looks like. Isn't that beautiful? I love these little masks that coordinate with our stamp sets. So they are my favorite coloring tools. All right, so now we are going to add the green. So I got to find the green one. So there is a separate, there's two different leaves on here, one for each style of flower. So we're going to use this other one. And we'll add that there. So I'm just using the more detailed mask. I'm not coloring this um, leaf completely in. We're just going to add little details. So I like to just kind of add those little highlights. I like to color the whole thing in too, but the highlights are just really pretty. We'll add this on here. So this is garden green that I'm using. And I think that might be good. We'll take this off. And that's what our flower looks like. Isn't that pretty? All right, so we are ready to do this card. So we're going to do the same thing. Just get some ink off my hands here. We're just going to tear down this side. So we're going to tear on the right side this time. And we're just going to tear all the way down. Just kind of create that worn look. This time I didn't use the elements of text. I just kind of went with the flower. So I just have a piece of white cardstock. So this is A2 size card. So it's 5.5 by 4.25 when closed. And I also have that green paper again. So this time it's going to go on the right side. So it's 1.5 by 4. So we'll add that first. And then we'll add this over the top. There we go. And then this time I decided to add one of those little paper butterflies kind of off to the side. So I'm going to add a couple of glue dots. So if you're not sure how to adhere these detailed butterflies, I just like to pinch together a couple of glue dots and add them to the back. So if you just grab a glue dot and just kind of pinch it together, then you can add it to different spots on the little butterfly to pop it up. It's easier than trying to cut dimensionals and things like that. So if you want to give your little butterfly a little bit of dimension, glue dots are perfect because it'll lift it up just a little bit, just enough to give it some dimension. So we'll add this. Add this kind of off to the side. And then we will add our greeting. So I just have some scrap white cardstock. And I'm just going to use that early espresso again. And this time I will stamp a little greeting that says, "You make a difference." So these are just greetings that came in this particular stamp set. So I'm just going to stamp it kind of off to the left there. And then I'll just grab my scissors and trim it down. So there's that. And then I have a little piece of blue cardstock, which is 2.5 inches long and it's 3/4 inches wide. So I'm just going to add this right behind the greeting. It just pulls out that blue color and just kind of highlights the greeting nicely. So we will add this with a couple dimensionals. And then we'll just pop this up right about here. And then you can add your embellishments. So we'll just stick with these little gems. And we'll just add a couple of these. Oop, let's grab that one. All right, so that is card number 2. And then, of course, you can add pattern paper or even stamp this image and do some masking on the inside. So that would be really pretty to have that off the side on the inside of the card. So those are the 2 different flowers. Let me grab this other one. So these are the 2 different flowers that are in this particular bundle. And so you can use any colors that you want. You don't have to go with the yellow and blue. I do have some other colors, another color I'll show you. So let me grab these out of the way here. So for the yellow ones, I just created a few other cards. So this time I just cut out the image instead of leaving it on, like here I left it on the paper, but here I used the die to just cut out the flower, and it's a very simple design. This is only a 1.5 inch wide piece of pattern paper that goes down, and I have stamped images behind the flower. So just a really pretty and simple design. Same thing here. I just cut a piece of cardstock. Let's see, I'll tell you how wide it is. 3 inches, 3 1/4. So it's 3 1/4 inches wide. It's 4 1/4 inches tall. Did the same masking and then just added some pattern paper behind it. So those were the yellow ones. And then the blue ones, some of the other blue ones that I did, just another very simple design with a little bit of embossed cardstock behind it. And then here is another simple design, just with a little bit of pattern paper on the bottom. So I just kind of went with some very quick and simple card ideas and some fun ways to use these masks to add color to these flowers. So these are just really, I really like this bundle, but I really like flowers. So that's why I like this bundle. All right. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is on Wednesday, I did a video on this particular card. So this is a fun fold card. It's like a front step fun fold card. And it's on a regular A2 size card base. So it's a top folding card. And the fun fold section is actually adhered right to the front of the card. So if you didn't see this video, you can get all the details out on my blog. I think I linked to it in the description with this video. So this was really fun and very simple. And Kim Olson, one of my team members, sent me a card with that design, and I just thought it was so cute. So, and then here is another card. So this one I did in purple. So this is Fresh Freesia. And again, it's another one of those step cards. So you'll be surprised at how simple it is to create this particular card. But like I said, you can use any kind of colors. I did the Fresh Freesia here, the blueberry bushel, and crushed curry. So, just get creative with it and try experimenting with different colors and different designs, because this set is so easy to use and it just creates really beautiful cards. So I will get all these cards up for you on the blog later today. So I hope this these card ideas inspired you to play around with this bundle if you have it. And if you haven't considered this bundle, it definitely is a lot of fun. I've created many, many cards with this bundle already. It's kind of my go-to bundle. So, all right, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed the card ideas. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a great week. And I will see you guys again next week. So take care, everybody.